Hey, this is Anthony Cesari with successforyoursongs.com, and in this video, we're going to talk about how to introduce your song in a way that will make people want to hear it. So you'll enjoy this if you always find yourself saying, I wrote this song about, before everything you play live. So this is a clip from an interview I did with Wade Sutton from the site rockettothestars.com. So check it out here, and if you like what you learned, please like the video or leave a comment below.
And one of the things that I see happen a lot is a situation where an artist has a story. There's something there, but they don't think the audience would be interested in it. So they never tell it. And a great example of that is there's a duo in the Atlanta area that I was doing some work with for a while. And they had a song that they wrote that when I heard it the first time, I thought, this is the most depressing song I've ever heard in my life. And when we talked about it, they said at the time, it was one of the songs that we had written and we have to fill out a set list. And it kind of became like a filler song in the set list. It was just there. There wasn't any real response to it, I think, because it was so depressing. But I asked them, I said, where did this come from? What led to you guys writing this? And they started telling me this story about they were at a songwriting workshop and they got split up into these breakout groups. And there was a woman in their group who had suffered from a condition that when she would hear sounds, she would see the sounds in the form of colors. And the people in their breakout group, when they heard that, it just like totally blew their minds. Well, then people were doing things like saying, hey, listen to my song for a minute and tell me what colors you see. And, to them, it was a novelty. And somebody said during the breakout group, man, that must be so cool to see these colors when you hear sound. And the woman said, it is, until you want to turn it off and you can't. And when they told me that this woman said that in response, I went, oh, that's it. We can put this song into context now. Now, so much about this song made sense because what they were getting at with it was the song was called Let Me Go Down. And it was about a person who was starting to give up on life and was starting to become suicidal. And it came from, this discussion with the woman and her talking about what it's like having this condition and you can't turn it off. You can't make it go away and how that affects her psychologically. So that song that had been a filler song up to that point, suddenly with that story in the way we put it together and scripted it and communicated it, and it was delivered very slowly with pauses so that we built up a lot of dramatic effect, all leading up to that line, it is great until you want it to stop and you can't. When they did that, it was just taking the air out of the room. And that was another one of those situations where I got the phone call after the show the first night, and they said that there were people in the audience after that song that were crying. That was a song that was filler up until that point. We found a story to put to it. We found the best way to deliver it and then put the song into context. And suddenly people looked at it in a completely different way.
Yeah, and I'm noticing now about what you're saying with setting up these songs, just that seemingly subtle difference of not saying I wrote this song because before that. It's huge because people, if you just start to tell the story, people may not know why. They may not be thinking about this is, about the next song that's coming up or you want them to be in this emotional place beforehand. But somebody starts to tell a story and you listen, and that starts to happen with this approach, which I think just makes it very effective.
And you run the risk too of getting up on stage in front of a lot of people who maybe have never seen you before. And you start a story with, I wrote this song because, and you run the risk of them, and I hate to say this, but you run the risk of the majority of the people in the room not caring.
Right.
Because they don't know you and they haven't warmed up to you enough yet.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot.
That
happens a lot.
And I think from the songwriting aspect of it too, you want to think that when you're writing a song that everything's in there, like if you have to set up a song by saying, oh, this song is about blah, 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 then it's like, well, why isn't that stuff in the song? And that's sort of what happens if you say, I wrote this song because. But if you don't, and you're just setting up with this story, that story doesn't necessarily have to be in the song because it's not necessarily what the song is about, but it just sets it up in a way that you're not
Exactly.
sort of like degrading the song by saying, oh, I should have put this stuff in there, but I didn't. It just feels like the right way to do it, you know? So I really like that approach. And I think people are going to benefit from that a lot.
Yeah, and I think too, a lot of artists make the mistake of putting too much of a burden on themselves to talk too often during a set. And one of the things I do with a lot of people is I sit down and I say, okay, we've got a 1 hour set. Maybe we talk 4 or 5 times. Maybe that includes a pitch for people to sign up for the email list. An introduction. I don't think you necessarily have to talk between every song, every other song. If you're charismatic, if you're great on the mic, if your music's version of The Rock with a microphone, then have at it.
Where can people find out more about your services and stuff like that?
Well, they can find out more about the services at rockettothestars.com. I have a book that I wrote a couple of years ago with Rick Barker, who used to manage Taylor Swift, and now he's a consultant to Big Machine. But you can get a free copy of that at giftfromwade.com. Just go on, put in your name and your email address, and you'll end up getting a response email that'll give you a link to go download it.
All right, so I hope you found that live performance information useful. If you're looking for more information on improving your live performances and your recordings, I have a free cheat sheet that will help you out with that. And you can download that by tapping on the screen here. And if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel to stay updated on our latest songwriting videos, you can tap our logo on the screen for that. And also have links for that stuff below this video. Thanks for checking it out. Talk to you in the next one.